Hi, my name is Robert Smart. I'm the Vice Provost for Research Administration at Grand Valley State University and Executive Director for the Center for Scholarly and Creative Excellence. I'm the last speaker, so that's good news for you. Just bear with me for, what? For the first half. For the first half, yes, absolutely. What I was going to say is, I was just watching that video. In graduate school, my institution that I was at did not have a GSA, or at least I wasn't aware of it. That looks like a lot of fun, and it's a great way to meet new people. I strongly suggest that you actually do that. Try it. It doesn't hurt. Definitely does not hurt. One of the things that Dean Pottinger mentioned, and I will also mention, and there's my contact information on the bottom there, we love to talk to you. And what we would love to do is talk to you about your career choices and career goals. We'll give you advice. You can take it or leave it, but we do have a lot of experience in life, and we'd be more than happy to meet with you at our offices, at a Starbucks, wherever you would like, to talk about your career trajectory, and hopefully we can actually help on that. Let's start off with this first slide. Whoops, not really. What did I just do? Oh. All right, here we go. Let me give you a little bit of background about me. I went to graduate school several years ago, but I went and received my doctorate degree. That doctorate degree during that time that I was in graduate school really shaped my career. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you right here. Take advantage of all the opportunities that you have and start to make those connections. Let me give you a couple examples of that. I was at a national conference my fourth year in graduate school, and I was just about ready to defend, and I was giving a presentation at a conference, and at that conference someone heard the talk, and he came up to me afterwards and he said, my research is very similar to your research that you just presented. I know that you could benefit, and I could benefit from you joining my group as a postdoc. And at that conference I received a postdoc offer, and then I went for a postdoc. After that, my first tenure track position at the university was due to the connections that my research mentor had. And so there was a job opening that he knew that was going to pop up. He picked up the phone, he called up the department chair and said, I have a graduate student that graduated from my group a couple years ago, would be ideal for the university that you are at, and he got me that interview. And then finally, one other little point of thing on my career path was that I was at Grand Valley State University and just about ready to go on sabbatical, and I needed to make a connection with a company, and that company worked as well as a contractor for NASA. And I'm like, how do I get into this company? Well, fortunate for me, one of my group members in graduate school worked at NASA Langley. He picked up the phone, called that company, and opened that door for me. So what I'm getting to you at is take advantage of the opportunities, and you never know who you meet will get you to that next step. So my job tonight is to talk to you a little bit about the research at Grand Valley State University and the support the university provides for you. And the question becomes, where will your curiosity take you? So the Center for Scholarly and Creative Excellence mission is to encourage, facilitate, and support the Grand Valley community, its faculty, staff, and students, both graduate students and undergraduate students, in their scholarly pursuits. And as you can see in this picture, these are all graduate students. They were graduate students last year. And at Grand Valley State University, we are a comprehensive master's large university. What that means is that all of our faculty are research active faculty, and to engage in excellence in teaching within the classroom, we need you as graduate students to be actively involved in your discipline too, to have that conversation between the faculty and the student. So we encourage you to take advantage of the research opportunities of your faculty research mentors. So the Center for Scholarly and Creative Excellence has 4 general places in which we can provide support for you, and I'll go through those. Mentoring, consultation, seed funding, making connections, and compliance oversight. And I'm going to address first the seed funding because that's probably most important to most of you in this group here. There are two ways to do it, an indirect way and a direct way. And I'll start off with the direct way. You, as a graduate student, can apply for research funding through the Office of Graduate Studies, and Dean Pottinger talked about those. And if you go to their website, gvsu.edu/gs, on the banners that you saw flashing by, a lot of those things were highlighted, and I'm going to touch upon those. First, there's a presidential research grant opportunity. They are offered several times a year. It is a $2,000 award, $1,500 for the research project, and an additional $500 for you to disseminate at a conference. So it's a $2,000 package that is available for you as a graduate student while you're here at Grand Valley State University. It's a relatively simple process to do. It's a 5 or 6 page application. It's reviewed by a panel of faculty members. And we support all forms of scholarship at the university. We took the Boyer model, which is supporting the scholarship of discovery, integration, application, and the scholarship of teaching. So all forms of scholarship research that you do here are supported and encouraged to supply or submit an application to the Presidential Research Grant. We believe that research is never done until you disseminate the work, so we provide funding for your dissemination of your work. So there are two forms. The Academic Conference Fund, as I said, that's how I got my first postdoc, was going to a conference and giving a presentation. The university provides support for you to present at a national or international conference on your research. They provide $500 for domestic travel and $750 for international travel for your presentation at a conference. Jeff, the money, does it run out?
Not if you keep giving me more.
All right. It's there. Take advantage of it. Let's just put it that way. Take advantage of that. I can't say enough about what you can get out of going to a national conference. And then also the university, working with the libraries, and we're going to talk about the libraries more, has developed an open access publishing fund. And what that is it provides each graduate student and faculty member at Grand Valley State University up to $3,000 per year to publish in an open access journal. So that immediately gets your name out into the world by having a publication in an open access journal. Very few universities do that. Grand Valley State is one of the ones on the forefront of that. The indirect way for funding your scholarship is working through your faculty mentor. So in my office, we provide faculty up to $10,000 for seed funding for their scholarship. And what they can do is they can write you in as a graduate assistant or a research associate into their grant proposal and pay you a salary to do the scholarship with them. So it's a way to get funding for you for graduate school and still be involved in the discipline and learning, the learning process. That grant also provides that faculty member and you as a graduate student supply money, necessary travel. So if you need to go to do some archival work at the Library of Congress, we pay for your trip to Washington, D.C. on that grant. So those are opportunities for your faculty to get funding for you. One other thing that I want to point out is that the university provides what's called a grant-funded assistantship for graduate students. So if your faculty member can write you into a grant, the salary of your graduate school into your grant, the GVSU will match that salary with a tuition waiver for that graduate student. So essentially, your stay here is covered if your faculty member can write you into a grant on a federal level. And so when you're chatting with your faculty members about the idea of working or participating on a project with them, encourage them to go seek some federal funding to get you covered, your graduate school covered. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about consulting mentorship. So a lot of the times you're going to be working on a research project in which you do not have the expertise to complete everything. And so one of the things is that I'm a chemist and I do some statistical analysis, but I'm not an expert statistician. So what I do is I seek out help at the Statistical Consulting Center. So what they do is it's a free service. They provide you help on designing a research project. They help you design the questions, and they help you analyze the data for you. And they also tell you which research methods or which statistical methods are valid and which ones are not. So that's a free service. I strongly recommend that you take advantage of that. That's called the Statistical Consulting Center. Another option that the university provides for our graduate students is writing help. A number of you will be writing a thesis. Some of you will be writing a research paper for publication. I use the Writing Center for a second set of eyes when I write. So they will review a proposal. They'll provide you with help and assistance if you have writer's block. Whatever it takes, they will help you get to that step of completing that manuscript. So the Writing Center is also a free service at this institution. Please make sure that you take advantage of it. Then before I go into this, I do want to point out one other area, and that is making connections and supporting your research. We have an office called Technology Commercialization, which is falling underneath my umbrella of responsibility. And that office helps if you have an intellectual property, you develop something at the institution while a student, our university will help you patent that information, protect that information, and we will also help you license that information or technology to a corporation where you receive royalties back from. We want you to be successful. We want you to be the next Bill Gates so that you buy us buildings later on, right? So we have that office, and as graduate students, our university has a very liberal intellectual property policy, which says that you are the inventors of the technology, and thus you own the technology that you develop. And so what our office does is we support you in developing and maintaining and protecting that technology. All right, so that's something I forgot to put in my slides. All right, so then the last start is some little hints about how do you prepare or plan a research project. And I think the first thing that you need to do is find an area where your passion is. Where is your curiosity taking you? In the last presentation, I gave us an example of biology. I'll do it again. Let's say you're a biologist, you're a master's in biology, you're getting your degree in biology, and you're trying to decide on where I'm going to study, what I'm going to study. You could do invasive plant species. You could do brown trout management in streams. You could do bird copulation. It doesn't really matter what it is. What you do is you find the passion that what you're interested in, and then go and study that passion. So first thing you need to do is investigate your passion. And then after that, what you need to do is you need to go into the literature to find where that gap of knowledge is. What has been there, what has been published in the past, and what can you add to that discussion in your discipline? You need to find that gap of knowledge. And the only way you're going to find that gap of knowledge is to immerse yourself into the discipline, reading the literature. And then once you do that, you start to formulate your ideas, start to talk to a research faculty member. And if you don't have an idea, sometimes the best thing to do is reach out to a research faculty member already and join the group and join the project in which they're already interested in. Take good notes, and I pointed this out in the last time. When I was working on my defense, and I was just about ready to defend, I was giving the presentation, and I referenced something in the presentation, and my research advisor thought it was a very interesting comment. And he asked afterwards, he goes, could I get that reference because I'd like to publish a paper with you on it, and I want to include that into the paper. Well, I thought I knew where I put that, and I couldn't find that. And it took me about a week in the library, really, literally, from 8 in the morning until probably midnight until they kicked you out in the graduate library. Every day, searching the literature to try to find that article because I didn't write it down. And so what I encourage you to do is to take really copious notes on your projects throughout the time. Write down your IDs, keep a notebooklet, and I think that will speed up the process as you move along. And then once you decide on a research project, you need to consider 4 things. And one of the most important things is, do I need approval and this goes to one of the compliance circles that I had earlier, do I need approval for my research? A lot of you are in the health fields, in the clinical settings, and you will be working with patients. If you're doing a project that involves patients, it might be considered human subjects research. And if that's the case, you need approval by the university to do that in my office. And so we are bound by federal regulations to have a research protections program at the university, and we are complying with that. And so make sure you find out whether you need approval to do your research before doing the research. And why do you care about that? Well, it plays into your timeline, which is the third point on my slides below. That might take a week. That might take 6 months, depending upon the complexity of the project. So please make sure that you plan on that before you start your research. And then finally, you have to choose a project that fits in the time frame of your degree. And Dean Potiger mentioned this earlier. When you choose a project, if you do a research project, and I encourage you to do a research project, make sure that you don't plan a research project that's going to take you 6 years to complete. All right? Choose a project that is going to be able to be done in a time frame that is manageable for your degree. And I think those are the tidbits of information that I'm going to provide.